My husband and I have a young teen daughter and a teen son. When our daughter was 8, she developed a very rare mouth infection that just absolutely devastated her teeth and gums. She lost all her teeth in both sets and had to have some corrective work done to have regular dentures. This was traumatic for her, and she's still in therapy to help cope. Our daughter is understandably very self-conscious about this. None of her friends knew about them. Nobody besides her doctor and dentist knows outside of our family, and she didn't want people to know. So she's very worried about people finding out and won't even take her teeth out in front of the rest of us. She's worried someone will see. She and her brother had a good relationship until he did what he did last week. He somehow recorded her taking out her teeth without her noticing and then showed all her friends when they were over. As a result, not only have they all turned on her, but half the school is teasing her nonstop. She even had to change her phone number because dozens of kids were texting her the vilest things imaginable. I have never been more ashamed of one of my children until that moment. I don't know where we went wrong raising him, but apparently he thought it would be funny. After I kicked out her friends who were mocking her and helped her through a panic attack, I called my father to pick him up and told him to pack a bag and get out. He's been staying with my parents 2 towns over. They didn't know what happened until 2 days ago. That came up because driving him to school was becoming a hassle, and they wanted to know what was up. When I explained, they were disgusted, but still wanted to know when they could bring him home. I asked them if they'd take care of registering him for school in their town, and they agreed, but were shocked. My husband and I talked. We just cannot have him here. His sister hates him. We're so ashamed we can't even think of calling him. It sounds awful, but I don't think our relationship can recover from this. And maybe this is what he needs. No friends and no family, aside from his grandparents. Having to start over might set him right. My parents are willing to keep him until he's 18. Still, they think we're too emotionally charged to make this decision now. Edit. He still doesn't seem to understand how awful he was. From what I'm told, all he said after the fact was he thought it was funny, and I haven't spoken to him since he left. I honestly don't know or care to hear from him. I have nothing to say to him. Everyone's the idiot here. I love that you have your daughter's back and apply some serious consequences for your son. But what I don't love is that you didn't mention how he reacted to the aftermath of what he's done and the consequences. It is an overreaction to permanently disown your son and cut him from your life. He's still your son. Yes, terrible mistake, but still a minor and still your son. You should be working with him and not just be like this. So yes, let him live with his grandparents, but work on a way to rebuild your own, not your daughter's, relationship with him. Call, let him do volunteer work, something. They're not letting him live with his grandparents though. They're forcing him to do so, and also forcing the grandparents to take him without a full explanation. How's that even going to work? I think it's not very good parenting if your kid makes a major mistake and you decide you don't want him anymore. Like, boom, gone. You are the idiot. What your son did was vile, but you just can't force his grandparents to take care of him now because you're apparently done with being his mother. He needs to learn, and he needs to grow from this. Sometimes children do despicable things, and your job as parents is to educate them, not to discard them away and give up on them. And you absolutely will not return from this if you send him away and don't talk to him. He should cut contact with you if you do so. You don't get to renounce your parental role and then return to it. Doesn't even surprise me that he did this. Parents don't seem to take the time to teach their kid anything. When it gets too bothersome, they just dispose of the child, which they fail to make a decent human being. And they seem to lack empathy, and at least don't seem to have loved their son very much, even before he did this. They clearly screwed him up. And the fact that OP thinks that the siblings had a good relationship shows how little they know about their son, probably too occupied with dear daughter. I disagree. OP is not the idiot. Filming your sister doing healthcare and showing it to friends is not a mistake. It's something done on purpose. This is horrible. I can completely sympathize with you, how you feel about your son right now. I hate him myself, and he didn't even do this to my daughter. And I've never invested a single moment in his upbringing. You must be so deeply disappointed in him. What did he have to say for himself about this, other than being upset at the consequences? Oh, he still thinks it was funny. I'm a male teen. I'm smart, and I know it. Not trying to brag or be narcissistic. I used to be part of the school's gifted program, did all the extension classes in my previous high school years, and won an award for having the best grades in maths. Although I never ever do my homework, I find homework stupid, and I don't like to work after school. I know all the content and could teach myself if I wanted to. The teachers usually just accept this, since my grades are stellar, despite not doing homework. However, I have this one teacher, Mr. M, for history, and last week he requested us to write an essay for our homework, which is due Monday. Needless to say, I obviously didn't do it. I could reproduce the best essay in the class right before him if he asked, but I didn't want to do my homework. And so he asked, "Where's your homework? You haven't submitted it." I didn't expect him to care so much about that stupid essay, but he asked if I'd done it. I lied and said I did. Then he asked me to show it. I said I hadn't started, and he told me I would fail the exam because I didn't do my homework, because this essay was so important. I told him I've been getting A+ in everything in this class, and said I could write an essay right now to show him that I can do it, but he said I need to put effort in outside of school. I think that's ridiculous. School should just be for learning, but he said I had to do the essay by the end of the day. I didn't want to do it, so I didn't do it, because teachers can't force you to do homework and work outside of school. Today he asked me where my submission was, and I stood up to him and said, I'm not going to write the essay because working outside of school hours is a pain, and it's ridiculous. Then he said he would contact my parents, and that I needed to have a better attitude towards my learning, and that I would not do well if I didn't do this important essay. Then this airheaded girl beside me told me to get off my high horse. I told her if anyone was going to fail the exam, it was her, because she always gets 50s on everything, despite color coding her notes and little pink highlighters. Mr. M got mad at me for telling her that, and said he doesn't take that attitude in his classroom, and he'd contact my parents due to not completing the essay. I think it's unfair for him to demean my intelligence and tell me I won't do well when I'm his best student. Still, I might be the idiot for not doing the work I was supposed to do and calling that girl dumb, rightfully so. You are the idiot. You'll do fine still doing the bare minimum. Good luck with that attitude later in school, work life, and personal life. You're going to need it, as you'll compete with others just as smart as you are, but with better habits and attitudes. Agree. You were a disrespectful snot to the teacher. You made an idiot of yourself in front of the class, and then you launched a personal attack on a classmate who just wanted you to knock it off. I guarantee you, no one is impressed by your behavior. And if you were my kid, and I got a call from a teacher about that kind of conduct, I would be deeply disappointed in you. No amount of intelligence justifies your behavior. Dude, I was like this in school too. I never studied because I didn't have to. Failed at uni. Had no idea how to study and get motivated to work out of uni hours because I'd never had to do it before. It sucked. If you want to go to uni, get out of this mindset before it's too late. I, 21 male, was visiting home over Christmas break, and my brother, teen, got annoyed with me because I wouldn't take him out for a driving lesson. He said, "Well, why would you help me anyway, since you aren't my real brother?" This hurt me a lot, but I didn't say anything. Then before spring break, my family asked while we were FaceTiming if I would be visiting, and I said I had plans with my friends. My brother said he was disappointed, and I said, "Why? I'm not your real brother." Our parents were shocked and angry I said that. I had a phone call with my dad later, and we discussed it. He said holding a grudge over something a teenager said was wrong, and I needed to let it go. This weekend I was home for our dad's birthday. My brother again asked me to take him to practice for his driving test. I said, "I'll help you, even though I'm not your real brother." It was on impulse that I said it, just because the situation was similar to the original one. He yelled at me that he was sorry about what he said and to stop bringing it up. I said, okay, that I wouldn't do it again. I said we could just go drive and not think about it anymore. He said, forget it, and screw you, and went to his room. My dad said I owed him an apology. I don't know why what he said got to me so much, but I couldn't let it go. When you say things, it affects people. Of course, now he can say the same to me. I just don't know. I don't know if I'm being a huge idiot or an over-emotional crybaby, or maybe I'm in the right. Edit. My dad married his mom, and my dad adopted him. Over Christmas break, he just wanted to go driving, but I didn't want him driving my car when it was snowing out, because I didn't think an inexperienced driver should drive in less than ideal conditions. And I think he should learn from someone more experienced than me, like our dad. Everyone's the idiot here, although you suck more. Your brother shouldn't have said what he said. However, this hurt me a lot, but I didn't say anything. You should also be able to communicate in a healthy way to your brother. Hey man, I know you were upset, but this really triggered something. You're my brother, and I love you, and always will love you. It hurts me to hear you say that. Then y'all can resolve the issue and move on. Instead, you proceed to bring it up, not once, but twice. It hurt you when he said it. How do you think it made him feel when you, his older brother, said it? You are the idiot. Dude, stooping to the level of an emotional teenager when you're a 21-year-old man? Not a good look. OP, you're 6 years older than him. You're old enough to know better. He is too, but he's also 15, and teenagers do dumb stuff. You're old enough to have better self-control and awareness of others, but you behave worse than him. Have a conversation with your brother. Both of you apologize, and then never say you aren't his brother again. Forgiveness is for after someone has apologized. I don't see anything about a genuine apology. You are not the idiot. You're teaching him that his words mean something. Just because he's 15 doesn't give him a pass to say something and not expect any repercussions. Tell Dad he needs to mind his business and stay out of it. I'm pregnant with my third boy and final baby. Sure, a girl would have been sweet, but it's not something that matters to me. But ever since I told my sister the gender, she's become a bit mean with the way she talks about my children. She also keeps begging me to try again after my third, just in case I have a girl, because girls are such a blessing. I don't disagree, but I'm quite happy with my own little blessings. My sister still acted normal though, so when she invited me and my family over, we went. But when we got there, my eldest ran to her for a hug, and she brushed him off and started scolding him for not asking first. But this is their thing. He always runs up to her for a hug when he sees her, and my sister has never discouraged it before. He doesn't just go around hugging random people either. Apart from me, she also invited her friends. None of them have kids except my sister and one who's pregnant. She started telling her pregnant friend the pros and cons of each gender, but for boys, the only pro she put was, well, he won't suffer as much as a girl will. I don't think she's wrong about this, but my issue was with her making this the only good thing about having a boy. The cons she put in were wild too, like they're all borderline sociopathic, or you'll turn into a weird boy mom, and similar. She also talked about how women unconsciously don't want baby boys, and our bodies try to fight off a pregnancy if it's a boy. But what made me angry was her villainizing my kids. She picked apart the hugging incident and talked about my other son being too confident in himself. But my eldest one being shy is an issue too, because apparently a toddler has ulterior motives. She then talked about how my third was going to be just as bad. After all, it's a boy. But maybe that's a good thing. I doubt the baby would matter much if it's a girl, since you already have your special little boys. Even her friends looked uncomfortable when she started analyzing me and my kids. I kind of just went, "What is wrong with you?" She looked a bit taken aback by my tone, but I told her, "I understand that boys get a better start in life just because of their gender, but my kids are still under the age of 5 and haven't done anything to make her act like such a witch towards them." So I told her to take her anger out on men that deserve it, unless of course she's only this brave when it comes to little kids who can't fight back. In that case, how is she any better than a man? My sister was upset and argued that my reaction was proof of what she was saying, and I was acting just like a crazy boy mom because I couldn't handle a little criticism. The only person on my side is her pregnant friend, who revealed she's pregnant with a boy, plus one other friend. My sister thinks I should apologize for insulting her when she's right. I want another opinion. Edit. She has a daughter and no sons, but she's married to a man, happily from what I can see and what she tells me. I'm very inclined to believe that this is a me problem because she was perfectly fine until I told her my third's a boy and I'm done after him. I kind of just went, "What is wrong with you?" This is the understatement of the century. What is wrong with her to suddenly make her hate boys so much? And why is she so obsessed with your pregnancy? If it was a girl, is she unable to have children of her own? There are much deeper issues going on with your sister. This behavior is not normal. Not the idiot. Honestly, your reaction was quite mild. Agree. The fact that she didn't end up with natural blue eyeshadow around her eyes tells me you're the mature one in your sibling relationship. The nerve to talk that way about innocent little boys that just wanted a hug from their aunt. Despicable. My speculation, sister wanted a boy and didn't get one. So now she's insulting boys to make herself feel better. That or she's just a straight up nasty person. On top of that, OP isn't trying for a girl. So her sister has decided this means that daughters aren't special? So sister's taking the "I'm done with pregnancies" to mean boys are better than girls, and then reacting to her own internal narrative. I planned a family vacation with my sons, pre-tween, tween, and 18-year-old, to Bora Bora for 13 days. My 18-year-old asked if he could bring his girlfriend of a year, Danielle, and he was surprised that I said yes. But of course he asked after finding out he'd end up with his own detached room. They're both graduating high school in a couple of weeks too. I don't mind spending most of my time with the younger boys. I wouldn't mind having some me time though. I'm sharing a lot of space with them, including a bed. I told my 18-year-old that I was expecting him and his girlfriend to do some babysitting on the trip, seeing that I was paying for her to go. So it's not going to be all Baywatch for them. My 18-year-old is angry for me even asking. I said I'd be cleaning the floors if I was 18 and was allowed to bring my girlfriend to paradise for 2 weeks. Danielle is fine with it, but my son is not. Not the idiot. Pay for me to go to Bora Bora and I will watch your children. I will also taste test all your food on this trip. Unfortunately, I don't have any experience, but I'll finish your discarded cocktails too. My passport is ready. Bring the girlfriend and leave your son at home. Wow, he gets to go on a free vacation to Bora Bora for 2 weeks, and you're paying for his girlfriend? So yeah, your son is acting entitled. And you are not in any way wrong for asking him to repay your generosity with a little babysitting. I would even argue that he shouldn't go on the trip unless he pays a small portion and apologizes while still babysitting after that. Except it's not babysitting, it's spending time with his brothers. Seriously, what part of the family vacation went over his head? Danielle clearly heard the family part. She's like, "Oh man, my ex-boyfriend's mom and I just took the best trip with her kids. I got my own room and everything. Enjoy your trip."